Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Midweek Deep Dive. Although we're recording this on a Friday, but it's midweek, it's fine, it's not the weekend. I'm joined by my good friend, Mr. Ben Green. How you doing, Ben?
All good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. All good, all good.
Looking forward to a busy Friday night.
Yeah, I know. It's certainly heating up. And we're going to do it's going to be a real quick show, quick 15, 20-minute show. And again, the spirit of this kind of series is to go a little bit deeper into one topic, hence the deep dive. And we're going to look at some stats today, comparing our main centre forward, let's be honest, for the last two seasons in Tom Bradshaw, and a potential new signing, which by the time this video is released, I would imagine that it would be announced, which is Mihailo Ivanovic signing from Vojvodina for supposedly a club record fee. And we want to look at some key stats and how he compares to what we already have. I want to say a big thank you to Feb's Football Analytics, who have helped supply some of these stats. So big shout out to Dave from Feb's Football Analytics. Definitely going to have him on the show very, very soon. He certainly helped get some of the stats on Ivanovic, because I won't lie, I would not have known where to find them. So a massive thank you. So without further ado, let's get in. And Ben, shall we start with a new guy or should we start with Bradders? Where should we start, mate?
Let's start with Bradders. I think it's good to add context. And before we do that, this is certainly not a Bradders bashing session. It's just a comparison, like you said, mate, of who ultimately has been our main centre forwards, and with hopefully a young striker that we're imminently about to sign.
Yeah, and I think what's really key is we're going to show stats that are essentially the typical outputs of strikers, goals, shots, things like that. What this won't tell you is things like pressing and all the other stuff that Bradders brings to the game. We know that a Millwall number 9's task in the current style of play is a thankless task. So I want to make that really, really clear. But the data tells you what it tells you. So let's put that up on screen. For those of you listening on podcast, I will read it out. So Tom Bradshaw's last 30 games for Millwall, he's scored 3 goals. He has a goals per 90 of 0.15. He has an XG per 90 of 0.09. So he actually outscores his XG. And yes, appreciate XG is not for everyone, but it's just representative and it gives us something to compare to. Total shots per 90 is 1.2. So he averages just over 1 shot every 90 minutes, which, it's not a lot, is it? Let's be honest. And again, I don't think that's necessarily Bradders' fault. And then his shots on target per 90 is 0.4. So, Ben, what's your reaction to those statistics?
Not enough in any column there, really, mate. I suppose the shots per 90 doesn't surprise me, just given the limited sort of chances that we create. He's ultimately feeding off, very few opportunities. It's probably quite key to point out here as well that those figures there will include a penalty which he scored at Bristol City, right? So they'll be heavily inflated as well. So, look, ultimately, as our main striker, just probably not enough in any of those, really, mate. What about you? What are your thoughts on those?
I can't. We talked about always agreeing with each other, but there's no way I could disagree with that because the stats are on the screen. I think it tells you a lot about our style. I don't necessarily think that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Tom Bradshaw is a world beater, but I think in a different side, his stats would look quite different. The thing that concerns me probably the most out of all of this is the total shots, because that essentially tells you the amount of chances he's getting, right? And to only have 1 shot basically per 90 minutes is a real concern. And then obviously 1 in 3 of those is on target. I always look at it like a funnel. So if you're like, right, 1.2 shots per 90, then a third of them are on target, right? And then out of the ones on target, he scores 1 in every 2.5. That's the way I look at this as a funnel. So when you look at it like that, it's not so bad. I think to score, 1 in every 2.5 shots on target, I don't think that's that bad. But the bit that concerns me is the amount of shots per 90. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you touched upon it there, mate. More about our style, and certainly just in terms of chance creation, something that we've all known as fans, right? Just watching, we're not we don't create a lot ultimately. So yeah, creativity is a must to bring into the squad. I know we've limited time today, but yeah, I mean, something that we've looked at for quite a while and identified that we need in that space. Someone that can, create more chances for our forwards. So I think that's the key takeaway there, mate. Whatever the stats are for Bradders, the lack of creativity, whoever is up top, is clearly going to need to improve upon.
Yeah, or we sign a striker that is more fitting to the style that we play. Because with the greatest respect again to Bradders, he's not a target man. He's not, is he? He's not a target man. He doesn't have the physical attributes to be that. He does a job for us. Of course, he'll do a job wherever we put him on the pitch. But hopefully, we are about to sign a target man. So what we're now going to do is compare those stats, albeit in a different format, to Mr. Ivanovic. Now, I think it's very key before I put these on screen that playing in a very different league, a very different style. He's used to playing up top on his own. That's one thing that we do know. But the league is very different, so I think it's good to bear that in mind. But considering that, let's put the first data point on screen. And you've got 4 boxes here. So for those of you, again, listening on podcast, top left compares XG per 90 and goals per 90. Top right is assists per 90 and XA, which is expected assists per 90. Bottom left is shots per 90 and shots on target percentage. And then bottom right is key passes and can't read it, touches in the box per 90. So they're kind of 4 diagrams there. The comparison and the bubble charts are all of the other strikers in that league. So that's what we're comparing against. And I'll pull out some conclusions and then come to you, Ben. So the first conclusion is that he scores a goal every 168 minutes, to be precise. So goals per 90, his score is around the 0.5 mark. I think it's 0.54 to be exact. So significantly higher than the Bradders, and his XG is broadly aligned with that as well. So he is fairly aligned in terms of goals per 90 and the expected goals that he should score per 90. You can also see him there in the top right quartile of that league, which again is fantastic for us to see. If we shift over to assists per 90, not many. So it doesn't look like he's someone that's going to create opportunities for others. He marks very low on expected assists and assists. I think he's one of the lowest in the league. So he is very much a focal point for goals. If we then segue to the bottom left, Ben, we've got shots per 90 and shots on target. So as you can see here already, we talked about Bradders having 1.2 shots per 90. This chap has over 2, it's 2.6 to be precise. So more than double shots per 90, and he has a 50% accuracy rate. So again, in the top upper quartile for that, which again is great to see. And then finally, the bottom chart, Ben, is key passes and touches in the box. So the way I look at this is he has a lot of touches in the box because he ranks very, very highly for that, but not many key passes. So my overall takeaway on all of that is he scores goals, he takes shots, fairly accurate with those shots, and therefore has a lot of touches in the box. But in terms of what he brings creativity-wise, not much. That would be my overall summary on that. Ben, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, probably summed up perfectly there, mate. I think whilst you were reading through those, my eyes were drawn to the touches in the box. Now, obviously, we haven't got that data for Bradders, unfortunately, but I would be very, very surprised if he's anywhere near 5, to be honest. I think that's a key one. And I think you again touched upon it there, mate, of saying that he really is just a focal point, but one that it's clearly got an eye for the back of the net, which, again, we've been crying out for. So in the style that we've been playing, and obviously Harris wants to play with that one up top, it looks like we're going to get someone that's quite clinical up there, which, again, talking about creativity, when a side doesn't create a huge amount, you want your striker to at least give yourself the best opportunity, don't you? So, yeah, I think just taking it on the bare facts, again, we've got to bear in mind, I can't imagine the Serbian league is as good as the Championship. Vojvodina finished 4th last year. They're currently struggling, though. They're 14th, I think I saw, out of 16th this year. Yeah. So, you would like to think that he might be planning a side that, again, probably isn't creating a hell of a lot for him, or certainly this year. But, yeah, he's been clinical when he's got those chances. So it just seems like it's an upgrade. I'd say we are caveating that with the league. We don't know much about it, but I can't imagine it's as strong as the Championship. But yeah, an upgrade on all those stats and metrics there, mate.
Yeah, and the league's a really fair call out, because we spoke to a former marketing director of Vojvodina yesterday, and that's a show that will be coming out imminently. And he reckons that the league, and he's got experience of English football, used to work at Arsenal, so I'd like to think it's a fair, estimation. He thinks the standard is probably like bottom half Championship, which is interesting. And if he can come in and apply those metrics to, we are currently a bottom half Championship side, then happy days, right?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I think that's always the club would have looked at it as well, right? And they would understand the level probably far better than we do. I was trying to have a look yesterday whether we would have any links to any Serbian football, whether Neil would have, any players he may have spoken to or anything like that, but I couldn't see any, surprisingly. But yeah, look, if he translates what he's done into the Championships and in the side for us, then, as we said, it's definitely an upgrade.
Yes, mate, 100%. And we've got a few more stats to share, so I'll put those on screen. We didn't have these for Bradders. Just for listeners, we are trying, we've always sort of prided ourselves on data, because you can't argue with data, right? And we are trying to find more concrete sources of constant data that we can use in some shows, particularly this section. But we'll share something now, and this basically shows you, you've got here offensive duels, and then offensive duels won as a percentage on the top left. But then we have dribbles per 90, and then how many of those dribbles are successful. Then we also have progressive runs and progressive passes, and then we have received passes and received successful attacking actions. So they're kind of the next four. And to kind of go through these then. So the top left-hand corner, offensive duels and offensive duels won. This basically means that, which again I think is really interesting, Ben, is that he's low on the actual amount of offensive duels, but he's fairly successful the ones that he does go for. So, he's sort of only 7 offensive duels per 90, but he wins 40% of them, which is actually quite highly ranked versus the rest of that league. Come back to your thoughts on that, but again, maybe that's an indication of style of play, that they're not pumping balls up to him. But we'll come back to that. The top right, dribbles per 90 and successful dribbles, similar to what I just said there. So doesn't dribble much at all by the looks of it. Ranked very lowly for that, but out of the dribbles he does, he's fairly successful. Obviously, what this doesn't tell you is the yardage and all that kind of stuff, but that's kind of the key take out there. Then we have progressive passes and progressive runs. So he marks really low on both of these, actually. And I think that kind of links back to the expected assists in the previous piece, where he's not going to be someone that carries us up the pitch, brings others into play further up the pitch. It's going to be very much that he's the focal point. And then the right-hand side, we have him in terms of received passes per 90, which I found quite interesting, really. He marked quite low for received passes per 90, around 11. And then, sort of middle of the road on successful attacking actions at around about 3 per 90. So that one's an interesting one, because I would have expected him to be certainly receiving passes a lot more, particularly if he's playing up front on his own. So some more interesting stats there, Ben. What are your key takeaways from those?
Well, I think the main one, again, you touched upon it, mate. Again, we're doing that thing where we agree with each other, aren't we? But we don't know much about Vojvodina's play style. we don't know how direct they are or how ticky-tacky they play. I think that's, what I want to get to is his aerial duels are quite high, right? So in terms of his win percentage, rather than the amount of. But I think if you look at our play style and what we've tried to do this year, it hasn't been purely as direct as we've probably seen under Harris at times, and we have played some decent football, right? So if you couple the first bits of data of not many touches in the box, a lot of touches in the box, but not a lot of many passes, a lot of shots, and then when he does actually go for his aerial duels, he's quite successful. I'm trying to think of a player that I'm trying to compare him to that would be like. I'm struggling on that one, but but they're all.
Alexander Mitrovic, Ben.
I was going with that one, but then I was thinking, are we getting ahead of ourselves there? But we'll go with Mitrovic.
The marketing director did say he is like a young Alexander Mitrovic. He did.
Well, we like that, mate. We like that, don't we?
We like that. We can't get ahead of ourselves, but it looks optimistic. It looks like a very un-Millwall-like signing from a lot of angles. Not just because he's some random guy we've never heard of from the foreign market, but also the fact that he is 19, costing a lot of money and all that kind of good stuff. So, I'm really excited by this signing, Ben, and I think that the data only reinforces that. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more on the successful attacking actions, maybe a bit more on the assist side. But again, what we don't know is that variable of their style of play.
And again, if you just look at what our strikers have been typically doing as well, we wouldn't see a lot of that from ours, right? In terms of,
good point.
Your centre forward for us is a focal point, right? And you want to try and bring others into play a little bit, but I would say, but that's not the sort of striker we'd be looking at, right? In terms of your assists or your progressive passes, all that sort of stuff. So those stats don't particularly worry me. I'm far more interested in the shots per 90, the improvement on that. Obviously, the goals, the expected, the XG, sorry, all big improvements to what we've currently got, right?
Yeah. And he scored, I think it's 9 goals in his last 21 appearances. Obviously, not all of which he's played 90 minutes. So that's something that we can definitely look forward to. So, yes, that's it's a quick one today, guys, but we just wanted to share with you some interesting data for those of you that are interested in it. Might not be for everyone, but Ben and I love a bit of data. I think part of our jobs at work as well is we're very data centric, and I think it's fair to say we're a little bit geeky, mate. And I think that's fair to say.
We can go with that assumption, mate. We can go with that assumption.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you, Ben, for joining us. A massive thank you as well to Febs as Febs Analytics. Really do appreciate those data stats, and we're going to get you on a show at some point as well, mate. So thank you for that. For those of you listening, let us know. Do you like these little 20-minute bursts of deep dives or the data? What would you like to see? Let us know. Give us your feedback, and we'll continue to do these as often as we can. Any final words, Ben?
No, I think we've summarised it, mate, just in terms of the comparison. Hopefully he's not the only entry into the Millwall dressing room today. But look, I think as we said there, it's certainly an upgrade stats-wise from what we've currently got. If you just look at that and don't consider he's a young 19-year-old that's moving over to a new country, then hopefully we've got a decent prospect on our hands, mate. So, an exciting signing.
Definitely, and hopefully an exciting rest of Friday. Thanks as always for listening to those of you that are listening. We really do appreciate it. Please do be sure to like, share, subscribe, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Bye for now.